What's going on? Welcome back to another brand new episode of Skywalking Through the League. I am your host, Bill Sheehy, and today's a little different. I'm joined by my OG Jedi partner in crime, Elizabeth Ann Preston Sheehy. Annie, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am so good. I am so excited to have you on as my co-host today. I have loved every time you've come on the pod, and I just appreciate you so much, and I love you so much. And also, Trey couldn't be here, so I thought you'd be a good stand-in.
Yeah.
But we've got an esteemed panel today. First, I want to bring out, from just hot off of their Star Wars Celebration podcast stage, from Pink Milk, it's ThatGayJedi Jace. Oh my god!
Hi, hello. Thank you for
my
having
friend.
me.
Yeah,
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a very busy week, but yeah, everything that's happened today has happened. But like Kenobi, I'm still like escaping in that Kenobi goodness. So I am. Yes, I'm well. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely excited to have you on. Happy to finally get you on. We've been trying to do this for a while, and I'm so happy that you're here, brother.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And our final guest tonight is, by his own admission, a god. I think there are a couple of things that I'll let him discuss it. That Scotty Jayro guy. Scotty, are you there?
Hey!
What's
going on, people?
There he is.
It's so surreal. I want to say this real quick. Bombad is wrapping up. We just had our 3-year anniversary, and our very first guest on Bombad was Bill 3 years ago. So it's pretty surreal to have kind of like this moment of like, wow, here's a full circle thing. And I've been on Skywalking a couple of times, but like to do it at this time of year, you know, it's just been special. But I'm glad to be here, y'all. Thank you. Seriously,
Scotty,
awesome.
Especially Annie.
Yeah, Annie's the draw here. Everyone knows.
Woo!
Everyone knows.
If Kate doesn't work out, Annie's gonna work out.
Okay, there you go. That's good to know. Good, that's everything a brother wants to hear. You know, if it doesn't work out with my fiance, I'm gonna marry your sister. Cool, very cool.
Oh yes,
goodness, awesome. So before we get started today, today has inevitably sucked. And Chase kind of alluded to it before, and you have to talk about it. You just do. So today, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, which gave women across the country the constitutional right to access to an abortion. And there are a lot of more eloquent, beautiful people have said, far better things than I'm going to be able to say. But I think I found a quote today from Representative Jim McGovern from Massachusetts. He talked about the justices on the Supreme Court and kind of how we got into where we are today. And he said, you have 6 justices, 5 of them who were appointed by Republican presidents who didn't win a majority of votes in the country. You have 2 of them who face credible sexual assault allegations. One of them is married to a woman who actively participated in activities to overthrow the U.S. government, and they're telling women they no longer have the right to choose. I mean, give me a goddamn break.
Yeah.
And, I that's kind of where I'm at with this. I think when the draft opinion first came out, I gave Trey and I gave a bunch of resources to people that wanted to help, and I'm going to continue to do that. I have one of my close friends is an attorney here who's very active here in Kentucky, and they have given me the Kentucky Health Justice Network will continue help people getting abortions across state lines so long as they can. What is even less questionable is that the national funds will continue helping people get abortions in other states, what they've been doing forever. Good places to donate would be the National Network of Abortion Funds and the National Abortion Fund. She also recommended all above all, and for legal if/when/how. She also gave me this was because I knew I was going to be talking about this. Another resource she gave me was I'll put this all in the description. Plan C. Plan C is a website where it's a website where you basically put where you are in the country, whatever state you are, whether it be Kentucky, Louisiana, wherever, and it will point you in the direction of at-home abortion pills. online, give you resources to get those. And they wanted me to highlight this because there are some states where, like, if you have an abortion and then go get medical care afterwards, they'll ask if you had a miscarriage or an abortion. They told me, please highlight there is no medical difference between a miscarriage caused by misoprostol and a spontaneous miscarriage. That is the abortion pill. There is no reason to tell a provider that you took a pill. So you use this website, you get you get the healthcare you need, and then you are not obligated to tell the doctor that it was a miscarriage or if it was an abortion. So with that, I kind of just want to give it off to, everybody, give their thoughts on it, and then, talk about Star Wars, because I feel like it's therapeutic to talk about how we're feeling right now, but then it's also therapeutic to talk about something we love in Star Wars. So Annie, where are you right now?
I'm pretty much the same place I was when I tweeted earlier today. I said I'm angry, sad, and unbelievably scared. Every decision that I make in a day as a woman is to keep myself safe, to the way that I dress, the places that I walk, when I get home, all these sorts of things. And I'm just tired of feeling unsafe all the time. And now there's legislation that has gone through that has made it even more unsafe for me to just be. So that's where I am. So if you love a woman, which I'm sure most of us do and should, check on them, and if you're a man, just know you will never understand, but tell them that you love them and that you were there for them, and that's all you can do.
Absolutely.
And use your platform. If you are a man with a platform, use your voice, make yourself heard, and go vote when you can.
How's everybody else feeling? Chase, Scotty, you are not obligated to talk if you don't want to, but
yeah. Well, I'm just want to say thank you, Bill, and Annie. I mean, as co-hosts of this evening stream, because I think it is really important to talk about, and I also think it's inevitable to talk about. It's on everyone's minds, and it's I think something that is shaking everyone in a lot of ways. And so I'm glad that we're able to talk about it, and I'm glad that we're able to do that and share our gush over this finale of Star Wars. But I just wanted to also add one link. I mean, I live in Chicago, and the Chicago Abortion Fund is an organization that I've worked with. They have a bit.ly link that really explains and lays out a lot of information about what abortion funds are and how they work. And so that's a bit.ly link. So it's bit.ly/sayabortion. So that's another really great resource. And also, as we all continue to talk about what is happening, I think it's also important to know that trans and non-binary people can also get pregnant. So definitely it's a women's issue, but it's also the language that I use around it is just anyone who can get pregnant. It's an issue with anyone who can get pregnant. This is like a direct attack on their bodily autonomy. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Awesome.
The only thing I can add to that, because that was beautifully stated by both Annie and Chase, but in terms of the thing I've been reading, and it's something that really frustrates me, I'm a middle school teacher, and there are moments where I'm I'm scared of any sort of gun violence at my own place of work. Right now, I know that's a little bit of a different subject, but the tweet I saw that resonated the most with me today was, if an AR-15 has more rights than a human in this nation, that's a problem. And it's true, right? People covet the ability to possess weaponry way more than to be able to have the right to do what they want to do with their bodies. It's absurd. So that's my only statement on it. It's disappointing, and it's weird. It seems like we make a bunch of progress in terms of certain things, and then all of a sudden we have this unbelievably huge reset, and it happens every 4 years, even every 5 years. I mean, I looked it up earlier. I mean, gay marriage became legal. It was June 26, 2013. No, I don't remember what year it was.
Yeah,
but it's unbelievable. Wow, we made all this progress. Holy cow, we as a nation are progressing. That's so surreal. Then literally we hear something like this happens, and it's just it's around the same exact time of year. It's just, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's unfortunate.
I know it's incredibly difficult to be positive right now, and I'm just uniformly a positive person. But the quote that's stayed with me, it's Dr. King's, "The arc of history is long, but inevitably bends towards justice."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's going to come back around. It's going to take hard work and dedication, but we can get there. And I
agree.
I believe in all of us. So that's that's where we're at with it right now. But we will continue to, on Skywalking Through the League's Twitter, we will continue giving out resources to people. And, today sucks, but hopefully together we can get through it. So with that, I want to talk a little bit to Chase. We've been very, very lucky. The past 2 weeks, we've had people that, when we went to Anaheim, were on the podcast celebration stage. Last week, we had Brandon and Maggie from Talking Bay, the Talking Bays themselves. And this week, we have Chase on, who's from the pod Pink Milk, and their incredible podcast going on the podcast stage. So I just kind of want to talk about that. What did that mean to you guys? Because I know that I have a lot of great memories from the Thursday night before.
Yes, me too.
A lot.
Some foggy memories, but great ones.
Foggy, but great ones. But I want to hear what it meant to you, what that day was like, and just hear what you have to say.
Yeah, well, thank you. Listen, I literally had so much fun with y'all that weekend. It was unbelievable. That was amazing. It was even better than I could have imagined, as that was my first celebration. But yeah, I mean, it meant the world to me. I feel like there has been a sense of change in terms of inclusion within the fandom from the point of view of Lucasfilm. And so for us to have that panel and to have that opportunity to just speak to queerness in Star Wars in such a public and proud way was amazing. You know what I mean? It really, really meant so much to all of us. It meant so much to Brian, who started everything Pink Milk. And it was amazing. I mean, I don't know. It really was out of body. As soon as it started, I was kind of like, okay, I would like for this to end, but in a good way. I just was like, whoa, I was not expecting that, to get nervous. But no, it was great. I think I just would like to wrap up by saying I thank you to everyone for all the support always on that podcast. It's been like, we got that slot generously from Lucasfilm, but we got it because of all the support and all the amazing people in the fandom that are so kind and so supportive and so encouraging of the work we do. So, queer people and allies alike, just thank you to everyone. It was amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm very, very proud of you guys. I'm very happy for you guys. You guys are all wonderful people that I love very, very much. And
we love you too.
I'm just so happy that y'all are getting the recognition that y'all deserve.
Thank you.
So, and with that, let's move on to our discussion on Kenobi. Episode or part 6 premiered on Wednesday. And I cried for about 6 hours straight after it ended. So I think I kind of know where our thoughts are right now, but I kind of want to start with Annie, since you are, I guess, the most casual Star Wars fan here.
Sure.
What did you think? What were your initial thoughts on the finale? Did it work for you? Did it not work for you? What did you think?
Okay, bore I start, I just need you to know our father has been texting me to say hi to him because he's watching. So hi,
okay.
Dad.
Dad. Hello, Papa Sheehy. What's going on?
Ask me that again because it just kept coming in.
Gotcha.
So hi, Dad. Anyway.
Hi, Dad. What were your initial thoughts on the finale of Kenobi? Did it work for you? Did it not work for you? Did you cry like I did? Did you? What were your thoughts?
I did cry. I cried a lot more than I was expecting to, because it was just the Star Wars that I remembered watching on our little portable DVD player on the way, on road trips. So it was just I don't know, when I just got super emotional, especially the fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and then all of the and I'm sure we'll talk about it, but all of the speech about Leia, all of the qualities she had with her parents.
Yes.
That I was sobbing, and I watched it again this morning, and I took notes because I wanted to be cool like you. And I watched it again, and that scene, like, I just immediately broke down sobbing even harder than I did the first time. But I thought it was the best episode. Like, I thought it was the best, like, acted, the best written, the best directed, even though Deborah's done amazing work the entire time. I just thought the whole vision was perfect, and I loved it very much. So, yeah.
Scotty, what did you think?
Well, of course, you know me. I'm crying, a lot of emotions in the
crime,
room.
bombing, doing everything.
And for some reason, Trey loves this phrase. My buddy Eric. I was hanging out with my buddy Eric because apparently it's an inside joke. Long story short, I was with my buddy Eric, and literally we were sitting there watching it. We were at there's a place in Baton Rouge called Celtic Studios, which is where his wedding studio's at, and it's a company he works for. So we got like a little screening area. It was like real intense, and there was so many moments in this episode that like truly just said, hey, you like the Phantom Menace? Here's a ton of things from the Phantom Menace, and that's my favorite Star Wars movie. So like getting a chance to like experience that with Eric and the other people we were with was such a profound experience. And I can honestly say it was the only Star Wars show I've watched 3 times in one day. Like initially, I couldn't get enough of it. I watched it with him, watched it with Katie, then I watched it by myself that evening, and then I watched it again yesterday, and I should have watched it today. But it's just like I can't get enough of it. It's perfect in every way, and it's a surprise. Almost, I mean, like obviously there were some things we expected. There's a lot of things I didn't think we'd get. So it was incredible. Thank you for asking, Bill.
Absolutely, Chase, my friend.
Yes.
Are you mirroring our thoughts? What were your initial thoughts?
Very much so. Very closely. Specifically, Annie, what you mentioned about like it reminded you of the Star Wars you grew up watching on road trips. Like that is how I watched the prequels for some reason. Like I just watched the Phantom Menace on like a TV VCR, a tiny one in my friend's car. Like that is how I watched it. So I love that you brought that up, and I relate. I think like one of the biggest like things I was surprised by was how much like emotional autonomy all these characters had. Like Reva and Obi-Wan processed everything themselves. Obi-Wan didn't have Qui-Gon's influence. Reva didn't have Obi-Wan's influence. So that was like something I was really surprised by and really happy that they went with. Like no one really had to have anyone like sit them down and like tell them how to be better or tell them what choices to make. Everyone got to like process their emotion, process their trauma over the whole show. But we really see how like they decided to make their own decisions for themselves and come out on the other end. So that was just like something that I really think is a huge, powerful thing that is so relatable and like very inspirational. So I think that's what I'd add to it. Oh, and also I cried a lot.
Yeah, same.
Yes.
It's so amazing that like because I knew like I was probably gonna like it, but like I was literally like it was 6:30 in the morning and I am just openly sobbing, just like full on, just like everything from the duel, which I want to talk about a little bit, to like what Annie talked about with where he was telling Leia all the great things about his like. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Unreal. That's wonderful. And Annie mentioning the DVD player. I have a very specific memory of us in driving to my aunt's farm in Wisconsin, going through Chicago. Chase.
I knew you.
And, like I think Annie was asleep, but like
I was.
We had like in the console in the middle of like the car, and like we were watching Attack of the Clones, and I just remember just being stuck in traffic in the middle of the night in Chicago, just watching Attack of the Clones. So
I love those like random core memories.
Yeah, like it was weird. Awesome. It's really, really weird. But
and on that, I remember waking up, not knowing where I am, just seeing Hayden Christensen and feeling safe.
Listen,
the dream.
I wish I could wake up like that every day.
Me too. Just feeling safe with him. There it is. There it is. So we kind of talked about the duel a little bit, and they really hyped it up as the rematch of the century. Do we think? I think I know the answer, but did it live up to your expectations? Did it live up to the hype of the rematch of the century? And Chase, I'm going to go back to you. Did it live up to what you were expecting? Was it different than what you were expecting? What did you think?
Honestly, I'm going to say like I don't think it was. I think it was, to call it the rematch of the century is like a lot. Like that's just like a lot to me. And I think that they were just kind of like phrasing like that, really trying to build that hype and get interest. I felt like it was very much like a press thing to say, looking back at like once I finished the episode. I mean, like I said, sobbed like a baby, enjoyed every minute of it, wouldn't have changed one thing. But I was like, wow, they definitely like called it one thing and it didn't feel like that necessarily. It may be like the emotional confrontation and catharsis of the century. Like that's what I would call it.
I agree.
The catharsis of the century. Really,
absolutely.
You want to sell those tickets?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'd say about that.
Awesome, Scotty. What about you?
See, I agree with Chase on this one too, because it was one of those things where that's a lot to live up to. Like the Battle of Mustafar, Battle of the Heroes is like, to me, like peak, choreography, peak all of it, peak, filmmaking with all the digital aspects of it. But when you watch this, it felt very emotional. It may be the most realistic lightsaber fight we've ever gotten. I know that sounds weird, but like it felt like it was a dance, but not really, right? There was a couple of moves that were for flair, but there was also a lot of moves that I was like, oh my God, I didn't expect them to go this route, and we'll get into details as to what that is, I'm sure. But like, I mean, it felt real. The rematch of the century is a hard thing to live up to. That's a big phrase, but that's how they marketed the very first footage we got of it. Kathleen Kennedy at that Disney's Investors Day in 2020 was when that was stated. And I remember thinking, how do you live up to it? And it's so crazy. The concept art they gave us that day was them on like some sort of fiery looking area again. I'm like, okay, well, this is what they're going to do. But to have it on a different planet that we don't know the name of, which I love, keep it that way. Yeah. Let that be a mystery in Star Wars forever. I don't know. The way it was set up, the way it was executed, and it was kind of cool. They started off in one area, they moved in, then they moved kind of back out, and then Obi-Wan left. I was like, that's how you do it. I mean, I don't know. I think it lived up to it for the most part, but it was no Mustafar in the sense of like groundbreaking. I don't know. I loved it though. I really loved it.
I will say that to me, it kind of felt like the perfect mix of what they've done in the sequels and what they did in the prequels.
Yes.
Because like, I love like you said, the choreograph, the dance, the flair to it of the prequels, but I also love the raw emotional parts of the sequels. It's much more, you feel the weight of the lightsaber. So it was the perfect mix of that. And I just like, there are so many, we'll get to this a little bit later, but I wouldn't like the catharsis of the century is probably the correct way to describe it, because like it really, like the parts that stuck out to me were like the emotional parts of it. Like it felt like everything in the fight and everything in the episode that had to deal with some kind of emotional reaction that we had to the prequels, that we had to, these characters. That's what really worked for me. Annie, what do you think? Was this the rematch of the century? Was this the catharsis of the century? What do you think?
I'm gonna go with catharsis of the century.
Okay.
Just to like mirror everything that Chase and Scotty have said, there's no way you can like live up to that fight on Mustafar. It was just too beautifully executed and choreographed. But I will say that the choreography for this one, at least to me, like with Hayden, it showed that he's more machine than man now. It's like a lot more stiff, not nearly as like, fluid and like as, I don't know, like, because he was such a great like sword fighter, whatever. And then like, I mean, it just showed their age. And I don't know.
Uh-oh. Is she gone? Oh, no. Well, we'll try to get her back here in a second. Oh, there she is. Hello.
Tell Dad to stop calling me, because he's calling me and I'm on the phone.
Please.
I love that.
Speaking of Dad, my father just texted me. Would you like to know what he said?
What did he say, Bill?
I am a Star Wars freak. Live long and prosper.
This is level. The Sheehy family has taken over. We must kill the stream. It is over.
Oh my God. If that's any indication where we came from, Godspeed. Anyway, so I want to, speaking of the duel, I want to talk about what the best moments of it are, because I think there's a lot of choices to pick from, and all of it just resonated with me. This, if I can quote the kids, this duel fucking slapped. Like just point blank, it did. It slapped. Everything worked for no cap. Straight fire, bro. Well, Scotty,
but I agree.
You've got the vernacular. What was the best? What was the moment for you? What were the best moments? Or tell me what was your favorite part of the duel?
Dude, no cap. The part with the helmet, bro. No cap. No,
bro.
But no. In all seriousness, there was a weight of tension, and I'm like, y'all, we've watched this story play out already once before. We know they both live. Like, it's so weird. I don't know how Deborah Chow orchestrated it so well, but you're watching it and you're like in the moment. You're like, what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. But I think it's because, a lot of it does come down to the fact that we've got these characters that are such legacy characters. Never thought we'd see them again. And it's the two that played them that I think everyone on this screen's favorite versions of those characters. Like, I'm sure you might like Alec Guinness's, Obi-Wan, but I think we all love Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan in the end. So to see him have that moment of I'm sorry, and like he's got tears in his eyes, and then the craziest part to me, the part that resonated the most truly, was when it's not your fault, master. I'm not your failure, master. I was like, yo, he's being Anakin. He's like actually being Anakin. He's being like kind, but then he flips it. I killed him, and I'm like, oh my god, like who would have thought we'd get those unbelievable lines? And of course, everyone talks so bad about his performance in the prequels. I know, I don't believe it at all.
Don't want to hear it ever again. The Hayden Christensen can't act line is gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Did you look at his eyes when he says that? Like
tear through prosthetics.
Oh my
what?
God.
And half of his face obstructed too.
Yes.
So, like,
and the James Earl Jones and like Hayden Christensen, like kind of like verb. Oh God,
brilliant.
Chase.
Ooh.
It was, well, speak on that moment. It was also just like, it was like such an element, like a moment of horror in Star Wars. It was so creepy. It was so creepy. It was like so scary and so emotional. Definitely like the I'm sorry, I think is one of my favorite moments, because I think that's all Obi-Wan has wanted to do. But also when Obi-Wan takes his hilt and just starts bashing it into Vader's suit, I was like blown away. And it was first of all, it was just cool. Like it was just like a cool choice. But then on top of that, I really kind of looking back at it, feel like he was just trying to break his friend out of that suit. It's like when you see like, I don't know. I mean, it's like when you see your friend in help and you're just physically, like the physical exertion trying to break him free is so emotional. I thought it was such a great choice.
I did too.
Yes.
Annie, why don't you chime in here?
Okay, I have a lot of thoughts.
Okay,
because
is this the stuff you wrote down? Please tell me.
Yes, but
let me see your put your notes out. Show your notes for the class, please.
Okay, so there's this side, and then there's this side.
Ooh, double-sided.
So everyone, go ahead and roll their eyes when I say this. I'm coming at this from a theater perspective, and like entirely from the performances.
Was that what I was supposed to roll my eyes at, or
shut up?
I'm coming at this from a theater perspective. Okay, cool. Go ahead.
When watching it again, when Obi-Wan fucked up the helmet and saw that it was Anakin, I noticed it looked like he smiled a little bit because he saw his friend again. He saw half of his face. I noticed that because I was looking at it, and it was like a double-sided thing. Watching him realize, because he knew Anakin was alive, but seeing his face, actually seeing who he was there. But also the realization, to me, it was Obi-Wan being like, oh, I did that to him because I cut him in half and I threw him in a volcano. It was just so much. And then all he could say, because there's so much more behind the I'm sorry for all of it, but that's all he could say because there was just too much. Ewan McGregor, come on. Are you kidding?
I totally agree. I totally agree. So I want to say something, and I want to see if you guys agree. Ewan McGregor that's the best acting that's ever been in a Star Wars property ever.
God.
Period. Like just solely the look on his face. There are two moments that stand out to me when Obi-Wan discovers that Anakin is still alive and says his name. The hurt and the pain in there, and then the same hurt and pain and him crying when he says, "I'm sorry for all of it."
God, brutal.
Dude, it's just like I don't know if it's just because like these characters mean so much to like the prequel, like as children of the prequels, they mean so much to us, and seeing like him acknowledging his failure and like saying, "I'm just so effing sorry," like you feel that it's there, and like Annie talking about like that little smile when he like I think it's also just like an acknowledgement that like, okay, in my head maybe I could say, okay, Anakin's dead, but like no, like you he's there, you see him, he is there, and he has to acknowledge it. I just think it's the best acting we've ever seen in Star Wars, and I know Nick says this. I think he should. Like, yes. I know that's
it's unreal.
I know, like now, like I know Star Wars originally was nominated for an Oscar when it first came out, and like it's become kind of like, it's Star Wars, doesn't it?
Right.
This is good shit. Like just straight up good shit. But
can I say one more thing about Ewan's acting?
Absolutely.
Like, okay, sorry again, theater person, but just noticing from every person that he acted with, regardless of how long they have been acting or how old they were, he didn't act with them any differently. And he made them look better. It wasn't like, because I know some actors who like have been acting as long as him can only play with people who have also been doing it as long as they have. So with Ewan, it's not like he's saying keep up. It's like he's saying come with me. And like awesome. It's so good. I love it.
It's so good. And I kind of want to there are a couple more things I want to talk about before we kind of transition to a couple more things in the episode, because there's just a lot to unpack here. But as I said before, my co-host Trey, he's traveling and couldn't be here, but he's one of my best friends, and I love him so much. But he has given me his thoughts, and I want to mention them here because we're talking about the battle, and this is what he said. He's texted me. He said, "So I watched the episode 3 times, and Mama, turn down the pod right now because I know we're gonna curse."
Because they're clearly watching. So.
Fucking amazing. The battle between Obi-Wan and Vader is just so iconic. Hayden's performance was, and he's talking like the kids, Hayden's performance was goated, and I don't think I'll ever emotionally recover from it. And yeah, listen, there's a reason that Trey and I are co-hosts. It's because we are on the same page on a lot of stuff, and I totally agree.
No cap.
No cap. No cap. It's goated. It's goated, my friend. Also, I want to point out that during the battle, Vader had the high ground for a very, very short amount of time.
Yes, and I was unspoken. It was amazing.
Because like there's a part of me that I was like, oh, is he gonna say it? Is he gonna say it? Is he gonna say it? But then he didn't. I'm like, I'm really glad he didn't say it, because like it could have been a little cheesy. But like I am a sap. I am a cheesehead. I would have loved it either way. I continuing with the fight, I want to talk about like when Obi-Wan is down, like he's in the hole. Vader's got the high ground. He's stuck. But what I think is so beautiful about this series, what's so beautiful about Star Wars in general, who ultimately saves Obi-Wan and Vader in the end? What is it that motivates him to go beyond and to be better? It's Luke and Leia, which is the people that saved Vader. The same people that saved Vader are the same people that saved Obi-Wan in this. Like, it's just
so cool,
so fucking perfect. Sorry, Mama.
Cool.
I didn't mean to cuss again. But this is your fault. I learned from you, and you know it. What do you guys think about that?
thematically, Bill, I mean, this show has been a companion piece for both trilogies and a little bit of the sequel too, right? I mean, like now you can kind of understand Ben Solo's fall a bit more. And there's just like these thematic things, especially, you know, George was the goat at it. He was goated at it. No cap. The fact that George had this ability to, for real. But he had this ability to put all these huge Joseph Campbell themes in his shows and his movies. But like you take those ideas and you still find a way to revitalize them. Are you kidding me? You know, like to take the idea of, you know, Leia being who Leia always has been. And I know Adam Fraser said this last night on Bombadcast. He said it perfect. He said, it's so cool to know that Obi-Wan saw the leader that Leia was going to be. But in Luke, he looked at Luke and said, he still needs to be a boy. He still needs to grow up.
Ooh,
yeah. And I'm like, what? I'm like, that's so well stated, right? That Leia has always been that natural leader. Leia almost should have been the one that was trained, but we know that destiny ultimately ended up with Luke, and, you know, Yoda had different perspectives on that. But the reason I bring all that in is because this show has given us that perspective. We now understand, you know, kind of the motivations as to why, you know, Obi-Wan had to wait until Luke fully developed into who he was, and he couldn't trust him instantly with that. And I don't know, it did a lot of great work with Obi-Wan and his characterizations with those two kids. And, you know, it gives A New Hope a whole different meaning. And I've been seeing it all over Twitter, is that one shot of him with the lightsaber. He looks over and he sees Leia and Luke standing there. And then he looks back and he smirks because he knows he's won. He's always teaching Vader new things. And it's the best thing about Obi-Wan. And this show has proven that to us. So I'm thankful that I can now watch A New Hope in a different light, because that movie was starting to get stale for me. Not gonna lie. I was like, I've watched it too many times. Everyone's favorite one. But now I can watch it and go, wow, this is thematically even more rich with another edition of Star Wars. So I'm just thankful to even say that.
It's a rare prequel that, well, I hate saying rare prequel. It's just a prequel that deepens the lore, that deepens your appreciation for A New Hope, for all the it makes everything better, you know. Like, and that's weird. That's incredibly difficult to do, and they just effing nailed it. Chase.
And they did it in ways that I didn't expect, specifically with Beru and Owen, where I was like, I never thought I'd like them. They're even annoying in New Hope. And the whole thing that everyone's talking about right now of like, well, now you see why they had to incinerate them, because they put up a fight. Like, I love that take. Because like he just comes home and they're just like these little skeletons. But like now it's like, first of all, I love them and I care for them more because I get to know them. I get to know their love for Luke and their like incredible parentage. But on top of that, I'm like, oh, they're like a force to be reckoned with. So of course, the only option for the Empire was just to like incinerate them. Like, so it recontextualized things that I never thought anyone would touch in Star Wars. So that's what's so beautiful, I think, about it. I also like, while like speaking about the Obi-Wan, like kind of like at the having the low ground and kind of being pinned down by rocks. I've had a question for you guys, because I'm wondering if like, do you think that Vader really thought Obi-Wan was dead, or do you think he just wanted to like put him down there, leave him down there and walk away? Almost like, because to me, like there's no way Vader assumed that killed Kenobi. I just don't know. And he would have felt the force snuffed out from him or something like, so it's almost like the way that we see Obi-Wan leave Vader at the end of that, the moment after that. It's just like, I just think that both of them know that the other person, like intellectually they want to destroy the other person, but I think that there is such a deep bond there that they just like, neither of them will actually really do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Ooh. And I think that flashback that we got in the previous episode sets up that Anakin wants to win no matter what. So like if he just wants revenge, it doesn't necessarily mean killing. He wants, and like that's why at the very end when like the battles happened and like he's like, we have to go after Kenobi, I think a part of him wants to keep going after Kenobi, not because he wants to kill him, but because he still wants to go toe to toe with his former friend, show that he's better than him.
Exactly. So, yeah, I agree. And that's also what's so cool about, like, again, a recontextualized moment is when Vader actually kills Obi-Wan in A New Hope.
Still doesn't kill him.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy though, but that's what happens, right? It's this idea of like, no matter how much you think you're going to be the master of me, you never are.
Absolutely.
And it's like, it's also a teaching moment too, in terms of like, being a teacher, like, yeah, your students will grow beyond you, but there's still some people that are not gonna go the way you think they're gonna go. And you know, Vader had, I'm gonna kick his ass. I'm gonna kick his ass. At no point does he ever truly get to kick his ass. It's amazing.
True.
He's always that Padawan.
Can I point something out that I saw this on a TikTok, which, you know, take this with a grain of salt.
No cap.
I knew you were going to say it. I knew you were going to say it, Scotty.
Take a shot every time Scotty says no cap.
It'll be 3 sheets to the wind already.
That's right. That's cap. No cap.
Right.
There was this TikTok cut to what the battle between Vader and Ahsoka and Vader and Obi-Wan in this. What does Vader, like, when Obi-Wan says, I will do what I must, Vader says, then you will die. When Ahsoka says, I won't leave you, then you will die. Like, it's just the same thing that he said to the master, he said to his apprentice. Like, it's just like, and that's why, like, it's probably just a throwaway line, but, like, even if it isn't, like, if it's very, like, if that's intentional, like, how effing beautiful, like, that's just, like, the stuff that I love. Like, it's poetry. It rhymes.
Literally. This time it literally rhymes.
It rhymes because it's the same effing thing. They're saying the same thing to each other. And, you know, Chase, you talked about Owen and Beru being good parents of this. I want to give a shout out to Bonnie. I forget, how do you say her last name? Plassey or
I don't know how to say
it. You know, if you've seen that Nexium documentary, it's about that cult that she was a part of. To see her a part of Star Wars, and not just a part of Star Wars, but like kind of like being a badass character, being a badass mom, protecting Luke, being in a series that's all about hope and like growth, like seeing someone who's been through something that destroyed her life, and like finding hope through that, like that's beautiful. Like I love seeing it. And you know, Charlie Ashby from Imperial Senate Pod.
Charlie Ashby.
That's the man. He's the man from London, ain't he? Ain't he?
Oh boy, bloody hell!
Like, said something in like our group chat like a week ago where he's like, I just want to, and this is gonna be me doing Charlie. I just want to say, Barrow with a shotgun, and then like it just happened. Like Beru with a shotgun.
Yeah, it did. It was
not only with a shotgun, but she slapped the shit out of Reva. She just came down and went, bam. That was
I was losing my mind when that happened. That was the craziest thing. And like really it also kind of, there's still some canon there though, if you think about it, because Luke still didn't see a lightsaber. Like he was on the run from the Tusken Raider. Like I love that they never even, you know, had the moment of slip up, which as Star Wars fans were like, you know, everything they do now. And like here we are, and they don't mess it up in the most beautiful way possible. She kicks her ass. That was awesome.
So cool. You know, speaking of Reva, I want to talk about her because Adam Frazier, who was a guest on Bombadcast this week and then was on the show with us last week. He wanted to talk about the Reva's journey throughout the series, and like I contextualize that for how, you know, where she is in this episode and then where she goes further. What do you guys think of her journey throughout? She is the catalyst of this series. Like ultimately, the reason that Vader and Anakin fight on Malachor 5, which we'll call it, is because of Reva. And like I kind of figured that she was going to be like that youngling at the beginning, because like why show that unless you were going to do it? Sure. But like, how did you enjoy seeing her journey? Where do you think she goes from here? What do you think, Annie?
I'm going to talk about that, but really quick, check your phone because Alden wants you to look at it. Everybody that knows me, stop texting me while I'm on the show. I know y'all think you're funny, but stop it, Alden, stop it. But also, so Reva, I just think the whole point of her was to show, like, to give a face to, like, the horror and the awfulness that Anakin did, or like for Order 66, if I could speak words anyway. And I think that it was done beautifully. I think Moses is unreal, and like being able to watch her have that moment with Luke where she's able to see herself in him and be like, he doesn't deserve this, this isn't me. Like that, her whole arc is her healing, or at least acknowledging how deeply wounded her inner child is.
Wow. Beautifully stated.
Boom.
What go off of that, Scotty? What do you think?
Well, it's weird, right? You know, and it's something that's a problem with modern day culture is you can take any frame of any show.
Check your phone, Annie.
Which is a great.
Yes.
Okay. I loved Morbius. For those that did not like it, I understand. But like, you can take anything and make it a joke.
Me
now.
too.
Like, it's a Morbin time, right? Like that wasn't even a thing in the movie. But the reason I bring that up is because, you know, for a long time, people joked about that scene where the little boy steps back whenever, you know, Anakin ignites the lightsaber, when he's with the slaughter of the younglings. And that was something we all kind of joked about, or people saw and they were like, ooh, that's pretty edgy. But then now you get a full story about a girl who was one of the younglings that was stabbed, right? Who experienced a school shooter-like experience. And then they give her this arc, which is an understandable arc. She wants to kill this guy. This guy almost took her life. It killed all of her family and friends, you know, the other younglings. And then now you get this full arc of, you know what? It's not always going to be revenge that gets you where you want to be. It's sometimes mercy. And the fact that she showed mercy to Luke, you know, not knowing the implications of that character is just so well done, you know? And I don't know, it gives so much more layering than I thought it would to that character. And I wasn't upset that we're going to get, you know, a new Inquisitor, and I wasn't upset that she lived, but like, how do you do it and do it in a compelling way to where it's not just another story, you know, make it mean something to me personally. And it truly did on like every level. So I'm just thankful for the fact that it was done so well in that capacity.
Chase, tell me your thoughts on Reva.
I agree, Scotty, about like that personalizing sort of Inquisitors, of younglings, of everything that Anakin did. It definitely was brutal to watch her story specifically, because you really got a sense of like, oh, those were her friends. That was all she knew to be family. She was a youngling. She was taken from her family. Like it really, I think, shone some light on that. And then on top of that, like seeing like these Anakin that you think is going to be there to help you, all that kind of stuff. But I think in this episode specifically, the moment, and Moses, again, the acting is also some of the best acting we've gotten in Star Wars. Incredible. And when she asks Kenobi if she's become him, it's like, oh my God. And you can just tell like how feral she is in the entire episode, because she's so desperate to just rid herself of the pain that she's been living with her entire life. And like, to watch her go through that and then just break down and be like, holy crap, like I really almost became that person. And you know, she stopped her own the cycle of violence all by herself. And I adore her for it. I think she's one of the strongest characters in the freaking world. And she's amazing. Yeah.
Where do you guys see her going from here? Do you think that, because I have a feeling that there are other Star Wars stories where she could show up in. Do you think we've seen the last of Reva? And before, hold on, I've got a couple things I want to do before we get into this. Update on what my father has said.
Oh, good Lord.
And I want to get your guys. Actually, I want to get this guy's opinion on it. Mr. Alden Diaz, let me ask you a question.
Oh no!
This is from Richard William Sheehy III, my father.
Heard of him?
Do you think Captain Kirk could beat up Luke?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. And if there's no force, Luke is getting first round.
Hold on. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out there we go. Okay. Perfect.
There we go.
No,
welcome, my friend. Welcome, my friend. Happy to have you here.
Hey, how you doing? I literally just showed up because I was I've been in a simmering anger all day, and so this will be the fourth thing that I've done on the microphone today.
Okay.
So I was like, who can I guilt into letting me onto their show?
And it's always a Sheehy. It's always a Sheehy that you can
or both.
Or exactly.
Well, Annie doesn't have her own show yet.
Not yet.
But here we are. You know,
I don't think y'all want that. But whatever.
Anyway,
it's going to be called "As a Theater Kid," a podcast.
As a theater kid. Anyway, Alden,
don't let me interrupt. Keep going. Keep doing what you were doing.
So talk about Reva's journey then. What do you think? Where do you think she goes from here? What have been the highlights for you? Just talk about her.
I think she's fascinating, and I echo what you all were saying. Moses is incredible. There's a really strong humanity there. I was talking about it with Richard Newby from the Hollywood Reporter in an episode that's going to be.
Oh, look at you!
He's the best. You had Adam Fraser from Slack.
Yes, my good friend Richard Newby. You know,
I was talking to my friend George Lucas, by the way. We were talking about how
Lukey.
It's hard in Star Wars when the bar is Vader and Palpatine to find any sort of new ground for the villains, and it takes a lot of work to do it, and they're very spaced out. So it took 16 years between Return of the Jedi and the debut of Darth Maul, who is decidedly different from Vader. Then you go to a completely different territory with Dooku. You go to a completely different territory with Grievous. And it's getting harder and harder to come up with, especially with the Inquisitors, because they're all a gang.
Yeah.
And I think that she is so unique. What easily could have been like Trilla 2 is not at all that. And I thought that it was horrifying to see the level of like grief that she was at. And I've seen some people that are a little confused, like why she wants to kill Luke Skywalker. And it has nothing to do with Luke Skywalker. It's just she's had a suspicion about Owen since part 1. I think the show trusts you to put it all together without saying it. She doesn't need to give a villain speech about, and now I will kill this child that's so important to you, Kenobi. Like she knows the kid's important to Kenobi, important to the senator that Kenobi's friends with, therefore connected to the girl, and important to Vader enough to keep from Vader. So why not kill him and hurt everybody involved?
Yep.
And then it all goes south. And I think that Obi-Wan refusing to kill Vader and walking away, and it beautifully puts him on the same playing field as Reva, who walks away as well.
Absolutely. And you know, kind of transitioning from Reva to, you know, we've talked about the battle. I want to dive into when after you know the duels happened, Reva has kind of not been redeemed, but she is in the journey to be redeemed eventually, and to you know grow beyond that. Moving on to when Obi-Wan goes and gives back Lola to Leia on Alderaan, which, you know, from where you go from the first episode where like she has somebody else pretend to be Leia and everyone's dressing her, to like she's dressing herself. She's got the holster on. She's got everything. Like it's I just love the symmetry from the first and last episode. Like it just, everybody has an arc and going on from that. But I think what will always stay with me from this series, and we've talked about it a little bit, is Obi-Wan like saying goodbye to Leia and giving her like hey, I knew your parents, and like saying everything that she is. Like I was talking about earlier, 6:30 in the morning, just openly sobbing. Like these are qualities from your mother. Talk about that. Talk about why that is meaningful. Why that's important, not just to Leia, but like to as a series as a whole. Because I think that Padme Amidala doesn't get nearly the recognition she deserves, and I think that's part of the reason why I love it so much. Because like Leia's got a lot of Vader in her, but she also has a lot of Padme in it. In her. Scotty, talk about that.
Well, it was the delivery of Princess Leia Organa. I was like, oh no. We're about to get like a whole ass speech that's gonna destroy me for the rest of my life. And It did in the best way possible, you know. And you watch these shows and you think how much more layering can they do for characters that we already know and love so much. And like I said earlier, you got a whole nother, you know, richness to A New Hope because of it. But it's this scene that does it, that sets it off. And it's the whole entire moment of, you know, like you said earlier, Bill, you got this qualities from your mother and this qualities from your father, but it's that ultimate edition of Leia's theme on top of it. And I'm like, bruh, like if, you know, now canonically, this is the first time we hear it. And it's the exact same moment whenever we have the, you know, it's just like when she puts R2 in the thing. Now it almost seems like this is her and Ben's song or her and Obi-Wan's song more than it's just, you know, Leia's theme. It's just, I don't know. You take a show like this and you think, oh yeah, they can do so many different things. This is the one thing I wasn't expecting, obviously, Leia being in it, but to have her means so much to him. And then, of course, the ultimate line of, will I ever see you again? Which, of course, like I said earlier, as a prequel kid, just as a Phantom Menace kid, really, boom, boom, like in my jaw until I passed out. It was like brutal. And, you know, 6:30 in the morning sobbing. I was 3 a.m. sobbing. I'm sure everyone was. There's literally, I wouldn't believe you if you told me, as passionate as we all are for Star Wars, that you didn't cry in that moment. Even just
I did.
I wouldn't believe you. There's no way. But yeah, that was it. That's what set it off for me. That was the emotional catalyst. And of course, we'll talk about later who else shows up. But this was the one that was like, boom, couldn't get much higher than that.
Well, Chase, I know you got to go record Pink Milk here in a little bit, so I kind of want to get your thoughts, and then I'll let you plug everything that you need to, and go record Pink Milk. And before he talks about that, go watch Pink Milk after this episode. Please do. They are wonderful, and I love them all.
Thank you.
Anyway, I'm back into my host persona. Chase, what do you think?
Thank you. So, okay, I mean, on top of what everyone has said, I think that I appreciated the Padme representation, because I do think that that would be a critique of the show for me personally. I think that there was a lot of Padme stuff at the beginning with Leia, with like, you know, switching places and all that kind of beautiful like stuff. Yeah. I just love that this moment gave us that vibe of, oh yeah, Padme is also a really important piece of this puzzle. But more than anything, I think that this last little like conversation that they had did such a beautiful job of fleshing out the relationship between these two twins and their parents. And it really balanced it for me, because when you think about it, like everyone knows, like Luke is Vader's kid. Like that is like something in pop culture, like that everyone just implicitly knows. But the connection between Leia and her parents isn't something that we've seen necessarily like fleshed out or spoken to it as directly on screen. So for me, it was really, really nice to be like, yeah, this girl is also related to these people. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Right.
Like it
Absolutely.
really gave us more,
100.
Yeah, it gave us a lot more texture, I think, to the character of Leia on screen.
No cap. No,
damn it. I was going to say it. You beat me. I was like, what's a great moment to do a no cap that doesn't step on the beauty of what was
right
just
there.
said?
Listen, there will be another moment to not cap. Chase, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. I wish I could stay all night, honestly.
Absolutely.
I love all of you on screen, and thank you for having me.
Where can we find you on Twitter, and where can we go listen to your stuff?
You can find me on Twitter at _ThatGayJedi. I make YouTube videos as ThatGayJedi, and I'm on Pink Milk After Dark, which is tonight and every Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Central. So yes,
go watch Pink Milk after we're done here. We will end as Pink Milk begins. We love you, and we hope to have you back soon.
Absolutely, I would love that, and say hi to Trey for me. Okay, I love you guys.
Love you. Bye, buddy.
Bye.
Thank you.
Man, I love Chase.
I do
He's
too.
one of the best. And you know, it's funny. Like, I'm glad you let him plug his stuff, because I just want Joragana to plug me. That's all I want.
Is he here?
Wow.
You know, I could just give him the StreamYard. It just you could tell him that yourself if you want to. Joey Tight Pants?
I don't want to see anything that Scotty like has to plug into anything anymore after the texts last night. In the group. I don't want to see anything like that again. Scotty has sent, without saying anything, he has sent some photos and videos over the last 24 hours that have all been different levels of disturbing.
I mean, that's just par for the course for Scotty too. Like, You know, we were talking about Morbius earlier. What's with the goons? What's with the goon squad? You know.
Yeah.
That's all it's all about. That's what it's about. All right, so let's move on a little bit. I want to talk about, you know, they gave a good reason as to why Vader didn't really search for Obi-Wan again, and it made sense to me at least. And Palpatine telling him, which by the way, always seeing Ian McDermott is just wonderful.
Oh my god,
the makeup did look a little weird this time because I think it's just probably because you know he's gotten older.
They're like trying to. Yeah. It's like he's an older guy because when he played Return of the Jedi Palpatine, he was in his 30s.
Yeah, which is so weird. Like, so he's been
able to age with the character.
He's aged into Palpatine, even to the point of like Episode 9 Palpatine. Like that's it'll get there eventually.
So it's like you're trying to put your 1983 makeup onto a guy. I at least like that they tried.
Yeah,
because
I don't think you need to.
Because Revenge of the Sith Palpatine, I love Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith Palpatine is rubbery and weird looking.
He
does not look like Return of the Jedi.
No, he is.
Strong with you.
Right.
Even your friend.
Anyway, so I kind of, you know, we're reaching the end of this episode, this series. What did y'all think of Palpatine showing up? What did y'all think of the reason that he's not going to search for Obi-Wan again? Annie, what did you think? Or do you think that leaves it open for interpretation for a season 2?
Sure, why not? I didn't understand. You can't have it both ways. You can't play on him being passionate and angry and easily manipulative, and then all of a sudden be like, "You're not focusing. Why are you so angry all the time? This guy's really pissed you off." I was like, "What do you? Okay, what do you want?
Are you gaslighting me? Like you've told me to do that."
I love his opening line though. It's like, I am literally a quadriplegic who is singed from head to toe, crispy. I can't breathe. I spend 90% of my time in a medical tank. I just got my ass beat by the guy that did this to me. And you made me have my castle at the place where the original maiming happened. And then what is Palpatine's opening line? You seem agitated. Yeah, I'd say I'm a little agitated.
Yeah, no shit.
Always agitated. Constantly agitated.
I'd say I'm a little perturbed. I like this scene. Not to cut you off, Annie. I don't know if you wanted to continue.
No, you're good. Take it away.
I like this scene because you're right, Annie. It doesn't. Vader, we forget. Vader was put into that armor when he was 22 years old. He's a young guy. Wow. Vader here is only 32. When Vader dies, he's not even Vader dies younger than all of our parents are. He's only in his 40s when he dies. And so it's like he's still a easily manipulated guy by Palpatine, who is his abuser. Yep. And so it's almost like Palpatine knows, and the reason why Palpatine smiles when he says, "I only serve you," is because Palpatine's like, if I let him get too into this Kenobi business, I could lose him. Mm-hmm. There's potential there. And so Palpatine's like, I need to yank the leash a little bit. And that's why by New Hope, he's basically Tarkin's heavy. Mm-hmm. Vader goes through cycles of being promoted and demoted throughout his career in the Empire, just based on how much when Palpatine needs him to be a rabid dog and annihilate people, like in Rogue One, he'll gas him up. And that's why he gives him a castle and things like that. But then when Palpatine needs him to be the whimpering little former slave boy that he met at 9, he will bring him back down to that level and be like, "Yep. Are you agitated? Are you okay?" He's that guy.
Hey, Scotty, you're a known gaslighter. What do you think about Palpatine?
That's true.
What does it even mean?
What does that mean? What is a subtweet?
Get help, Scotty. Anyway, get help.
Okay, that's strange. What a weird transition for someone that's usually a pretty good host. Okay. Interesting. Give me like collect my thoughts on that one, William. Okay,
William.
Whatever gaslighting. All I know is that pissed me off. I don't even know what you're talking about at this point.
Wait, did it really?
Nice
I'm
to meet-
sorry. If it
No,
pissed
not
you
at
off,
all.
I'm so
I mean,
sorry.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it did. You redheaded demon. That being said, Annie, I think you should totally what's the word? Exile your brother to fucking hell. Oh my god, I don't know. Oh my god, sorry. That wow. That
Hold
being
on.
said,
What's this?
What?
Oh no. Oh,
Oh.
Jared the
Whoa.
Dark Jedi. Whoa
Oh.
there. Hey,
Oh.
hey. Not on this show. Not on this show, pal.
on this
Jared,
show.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
just because he
Jared.
lost.
No.
He lost more than Vader. Hey, this really is starting to pan out pretty well. But I didn't mean to say what I said earlier, Bill. I'm sorry that offended you.
No,
and made
it
you
didn't
upset
offend
in
me.
any
I don't want to make you
Um,
upset. I'm sorry. I want to give you sweet kisses. Just give you a little kiss.
So,
Oh my god.
To do my best thing, whatever gaslighting means. I thought it was super necessary to have this conversation. And I mean that because you've got, ultimately we get, Obi-Wan talking to his former master later, but then it's kind of cool to see Vader talking to the man that he, chose over Obi-Wan, and he's not a good man to, Vader at all. He is pretty gaslighty. And of course it's weird, it could have gone either way, like Alden said, where you had a character that,
Objectively true.
you have a character, you got a character like Vader who would either have been tempted to join Obi-Wan in some capacity, or, Palpatine who's like, stay off his trail, you need to focus on this, not this. And I don't know, he used weakness to his advantage, and that's something Vader's always been scared of, being weak, being seen as weak. His destiny is a chosen one. I don't know. It's very interesting.
And Vader's afraid.
But ultimately,
Vader's afraid.
yes, he's
of
very
Palpatine.
scared.
He's afraid of Palpatine. He's the only person that keeps him in line. In Return of the Jedi, it's his arguments to Luke at that point on the walkway on Endor are not villain speeches. He's not saying like, no, Luke, you're wrong. Evil's better, like he does in Empire, of like, join me. By that point, it's too late for me, my son. There is no conflict. I need to be doing this. You don't get it. He's in so many words, he's telling Luke, like, this guy, you can't mess with him. He's too powerful.
God, that's awesome.
Well, speaking of people that are too powerful at this point, we finally, after setting him up, Qui-Gon Jinn showed up at the very, very end.
I thought it was going to be Joe Organa. I was
I
thinking
did too.
Joe Organa here.
I really wanted. He showed up at the very, very end.
Oh, man.
Qui-Gon Jinn. Well, actually, let me turn it back a little bit, because we haven't really talked about the Obi-Wan finally meeting Luke and making good with Owen. It's I can't remember who said it. I think it might have been something in our group chat where they kind of thought that Owen and Obi-Wan would have they would come to an understanding. They wouldn't be as at each other's throats that they had seemed at the beginning, and they would come to an understanding. We seem to have gotten that. What do you think about the relationship between Obi-Wan and Ben, Annie? And do you think that it made sense? Do you think that, what do you think about it?
You said Obi-Wan and Ben.
Oh, Obi-Wan.
From a certain point of view.
Obi-Wan and Owen. Excuse me. Ben and Owen. Excuse me. Could you please stop gaslighting me? I really don't appreciate that.
Christ. Anyway, this is about me now.
Okay. Here you go.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the question again?
Yeah, you kicked him out.
It was
how
have you? I think it was how. What do you think of the relationship between Ben and Owen and how it kind of changed from the beginning?
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, oh Lord, can somebody else go first so I can think about this?
Scotty, what do you think? Scotty.
Scotty or Alden go?
See, the thing is, you take these characters that had always been kind of at odds with each other. Even going as far as A New Hope. your uncle. Don't let that's your uncle thinking. That's your uncle. What was
Talking.
that line? I'm sure all knows
It's
it.
your uncle
That's
your uncle talking.
That's your uncle talking. Great line. And I'm sure they will have several encounters from this point on that were not positive encounters.
In the comics,
I do love
yells at him and stuff.
Yes. And I'm sure we'll get even more after this too. But it's that line of you want to go meet him because he knows how much he's been through. I'm sure in some capacity after Reva walked away, I'm sure Owen and Obi-Wan spoke even briefly about what had just occurred. Where were you? Why weren't you here? I'm sure that was brought up in some capacity. It has to be. But yeah, the whole reason why I'm getting to that is because you've got a big moment where he does get to ultimately hand Luke that T16. Is it T16? Yeah.
Yeah.
T16 model. And you see him and playing with it in A New Hope. And there has to be enough there for Luke to go, that crazy old hermit, in A New Hope, but also there shouldn't be too much, they shouldn't. I'm glad they didn't give us how are you doing, son? Nice to talk to you. What is your favorite thing? It was so subtle. And I'm sure they had that conversation, but to not see it is very nice. And to get the hello there is also very nice.
Alden, what did you think of the hello there? Did you think that was a little too on the meme nose, or did you think that it was kind of that's what they should have done?
Yeah, it was earned. I think it was earned.
Yeah.
I think that if it was going to be placed anywhere in any of the 6, that's the only place. At least of the scenes that they made. I'm sure you could write a scene. There was you almost got it with Freck, and I thought they were going to waste it on Freck. When she says "Father, say hello" when they're pretending to be farmers,
hello.
and he just says hello. I was like, okay, all right. This was the only time that it would have worked. It adds a layer of comfort when he says it to I was gonna say when he says it to Luke. Technically, he says it to 3PO and R2 because Luke got knocked out by a Tusken.
That's true.
But still, there's a familiarity there, and I thought that the whole moment was earned. I think that the Owen facilitating that, it's there doesn't mean that we're going to be friends, but I can do you a courtesy in the same way that it's like you don't really care for me, but you trust me and my wife to do this. I don't really care for you, but I'm going to give you this because you trust me and my wife to do this. It's two people with respect, and you don't need to like each other. By the time you get to New Hope, there's no love coming from Owen. He's he discounts Obi-Wan still as a crazy old coot, but you get a sense that anger is also Owen is crotchety in New Hope, not just because of the past, but also because his boy is old enough to not need him anymore. Owen's scared. He's Beru is more brave in New Hope, so it's cool to see her be more brave here. Beru's the one that's you gotta let him go. That's when your kid is 16 and learning how to drive, or 18 and they can vote, or they go to school, whatever. That equivalent of I want to go to the academy. That's why he's being a dick. So I'm afraid of losing him. And y'all are from the South. You probably understand what those people are like. Those farm types. Don't leave.
You
don't
live
leave
in the South. What are you talking about?
Don't leave the South. Stay here. Don't leave the farm. Don't leave the farm. But yeah, so I like that, and I love the parallels too. Not parallels, but the comparisons drawn between Owen and Beru and Bale and Brea that sort of get capped off here, because a key difference that Nicky Kumar from ISP and does a lot of work with me, he pointed it out.
Oh, the French guy.
Yeah. He pointed out that it's a difference that's right in front of our noses, and it has been since the 80s, but we never really talked about it until this show. Leia Organa grew up with adoptive parents. Luke Skywalker never had that. He had an aunt and uncle. He was like Spider-Man. There's a hole in his life by the sheer nature of the roles that they took. They could have taken the baby at the end of Revenge of the Sith and then said, "Let's tell him we're mom and dad." They could have done that, and they could have given him that. They chose to stick to their honest roles, as honest as they could be about them. And that creates longing and wistfulness in Luke that is not there in Leia. That's why in Return of the Jedi, Luke says, "What do you remember about your mother?" And really that question is our mother, because he knows already and she doesn't. And he's always, like Yoda says in Last Jedi, looking to the horizon. He wants to know about I want to know about the strangers like me. He's that song. Whereas Leia gets to the end of Obi-Wan's scene, and Obi-Wan says, "I wish I could tell you more," and she looks at her parents and says, "That's okay, you don't have to." Her emotional intelligence is through the roof because she's accepted that she's adopted and has everything that she needs. Luke knows that the spice freighter on a navigator thing on an emotional level doesn't add up. Or navigator on a spice freighter. Scratch that, reverse it. He doesn't, there's something distinctly different about him. That's why I think he needs more of a childhood, because he needs more time to work out some sort of grief. I mean, like, I don't know one of my parents, and that lingers with you even if you don't really know how to place that. So yeah, I think that this scene ends exactly where Owen needs to be. Like, Owen has to be he has to have some sort of balance, especially after everything that went down. And that adds to New Hope too, is that Owen's not talking about bullshit when you get to New Hope. He knows the dangers that are out there in the galaxy because he's face down a red saber, like in his face.
So, Annie, let's move on to Qui-Gon showing up at the end.
Cool.
Do you think that was the right spot to put him in? Do you think that he should have? Because, like, I think listen, I don't know anything, and I say that every week, but like, I kind of thought he would have like finally showed up at like the point before, like when the fight before the duel,
when he's holding his saber.
And actually, shout out to, I forget if it was Adam Fraser or Brandon Winardi from Talking Bay. Somebody called like last week, said that exactly how Qui-Gon showed up. Like, they said it last week. They were like, yeah, he's going to show up at the end and he's going to say something along the lines of like, I was there all along. And then, God damn it, if he wasn't, if that's not what he said. What did you think of Qui-Gon showing up at the end, Annie? Did it work for you? Would you have put it somewhere else? What do you think?
I thought it worked. I really wouldn't have put it anywhere else because Obi-Wan wasn't ready to see him and to talk to him and actually, like, you know, work through it. Like, he had to work through what he was working through by himself and then move on to the next. Like, I thought it was perfect. I didn't think it was too much. I didn't think it was too little. I thought it was exactly what needed to be done. Period.
Scotty, what do you think?
See, it's so funny, and I said it earlier, and I even said it on Bombad, I think I did yesterday, was simply because you have been waiting for that to happen. And, you know, it was promised in Revenge of the Sith. It may be the only thing that was promised about this series before this series was made was simply that, you know, you have extra training and your master, you know, has returned from the Force to be able to give that to you. And, like, obviously, I knew it was working towards that in some capacity. Screenwriting 101, you don't write something like "Help me, Master," you know, having that, you know, reflection without it actually coming into fruition. But you see it happen, and that was the moment that did also set me off emotionally after the whole Leia thing. It was this that also, you know, took it to a different level, because you watch this show, right, and you're like, oh my God, you know, everything has been so nice. They've been tributing all these prequel movies that, you know, were hated at one point, and they've been giving a lot of credit to them. But to bring back Qui-Gon Jinn is like the ultimate way of doing it, you know, like from The Phantom Menace, the movie that I think maybe got the most ridicule at the time of it coming out, you know, and to have, you know, it's weird to have him come back and it was flawless. You know, he hasn't returned to that character since like 98, 97. So you got to think, you know, it has been such a long time. You know, he's done voice moments, but not full suit costuming, you know, and they even did the length of his hair correct. And I know it's a really weird thing, but one is always a little bit longer, and it's like just
found
a little
Liam's
bit.
wig.
Yes, and I literally last night they found Liam's wig.
Wait, is that real?
No, I'm just memeing about the documentary.
I was about to say.
I wish it was though.
If that was true, that would have been
amazing.
Make me so happy. That'd make me so happy.
But it was also the way he delivered the line, you know, took you long enough, because it was weird. It was weird not just for Obi-Wan, but for us as viewers. Like, man, he lost his mojo. You know, how do you get your mojo back? You kind of come to terms with what you did, and maybe, you know, where you can go from there. And the only way Qui-Gon would present himself is that when Obi-Wan became the Obi-Wan that he knew. And I understand that. There are friends that I you know, see very rarely, but when I see them, I kind of turn back to that other high school version of me, or that middle school version of me, where you can kind of flip a switch. And it took that character development for Obi-Wan to have that moment. And I don't know, it works. It's very human. And, you know, I love the fact that it was so nonchalant because we got a long way to go. I'm like, dang, like to think and to know that they talked that whole way through that canyon, that I love that more than I think I can even express.
It's incredible.
Alden, take it away before we wrap up.
Sure.
How did you feel about Qui-Gon showing up? Would you put it anywhere different? You know, what do you think?
You know, it's interesting because the whole series, I didn't expect it until the end, at earliest penultimate episode. So we get through chapter 5, doesn't happen. So then it was a matter of, okay, finale for sure. You know, Scotty said, like, not just the promise or revenge of the Sith, but also screenwriting. You know, Chekhov's gun. You put in this idea, and not just once. It was also in episode 2 before he sees Tamora Morrison. It was also in like there's the one where he says, like, if I ever needed your guidance, it's now. Like this has been a constant attempt for him. So then it was just a matter of where in the finale is it going to be. Oh, and also Kristen Baver's Skywalker: A Family at War, which if you haven't read it, is the whole Skywalker saga, but written as a history. And that book says that they spoke 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. So I don't know if Kristen Baver knew anything. I'm not saying she did, but I wouldn't be surprised if a canon note came across her desk or something. But that was rad. And so the first moment I thought it was going to happen, Bill, like you said, pre-fight, when he's like, Master, I don't know if he's going to die or if I will, but this ends today. Narrator should have come in and said, it does not end today. But then it didn't happen there. Then I thought it would happen when he was under the rocks in what I call the come on Spider-Man moment, because it is exactly that. If he had, you know, suddenly done a Tom Holland impression and been like, come on, Obi-Wan, come on, Obi-Wan, like, yeah, it would have been fantastic. And then it didn't happen there. So I thought, well, Jesus, like maybe this is going to be the last shot. And then
that's it.
Technically wasn't, but it was the last scene. When he saw him, it made sense. Going into this show, I wondered, is the surprise going to be, because it's such a thing in myths is hidden tests, right? Like, like Arthur doesn't know that he's worthy of pulling the sword from the stone until he does it. He already passed criteria that he didn't know about. Luke in Empire fails a hidden test that he didn't know about. Fails multiple hidden tests he didn't know about. Yoda acting a fool and to test his patience, he fails. He fails the cave. I thought maybe this would end with Qui-Gon being like, congratulations, you shook off the burden of your past. You can be a Force ghost now. But I love that it's the reverse. It's congratulations. Now you've unlocked the class. That's now we start. Because if you're going to do a season 2, which whether or not I want it is irrelevant, because I think that our stories needed is like a useless conversation.
Well, and that's actually a good spot to, you know, to talk about that. Do you think?
Do I think they will, or do I want one?
So, but because I'm very split on this. Like,
me too.
On one end, I'm like, man, if these guys want to keep doing Star Wars stories and the story makes sense and you can do it in a compelling way, do it.
I agree with that too. Take every swing.
But at the same time, like, it kind of ends perfectly for like where A New Hope ends, and like, you know, what do you guys think? And
well, it took 7 years. Like it took since 2015, 2014 to get to this moment, and like I can wait 7 more years. But you know who can't? Like the actors that play these characters, right? You know, and obviously we do have Ewan McGregor, you know, and I know it's something that people have been saying these past couple of days. You know, Ewan McGregor, I don't know if I want him to look like Alec Guinness. I don't know if I want him to do a prosthetic. I don't know. It would have to be a truly compelling story.
Yeah, gray him up and cut the mullet.
Yeah,
and that's enough. That's enough. Yeah.
Okay, I agree to that point. But like it's got to be compelling. And this story had been reworked, like, you know, Alden, you said on your show, like 4 times, like truly reworked.
This has been
additives.
It was a movie, as worst kept secret ever. It was a movie. There was a draft of the show where he was running around with Luke. And then Mandalorian was being made, and they were like, "This is too close. We got to change this." There was a lot of development, and I think that the key with the season 2 for me, if I was either involved or if they cared what I thought, is that it was the hardest sell in the world to get a majority of the fan base on board with the idea of him leaving Tatooine at all. Because for decades, we've accepted that he was always there, the watchful guardian. Then it's like, oh God, he's going to leave Tatooine in this new TV show. Why would he do that? Then you give us Leia, and it's like perfect reason.
Yep.
You can't do that again. And to bring up Nikki again, Nikki said it can't be like Arrow, where they said Oliver Queen was on the island for 5 years, and then turns out he had like 30 adventures during that time. Like, you cannot do leaving Tatooine again. However, if you made Liam Neeson the co-star, give him as much give Ghost Liam as much screen time that as Leia had here, make her the B character, make him the B character, and made it entirely metaphysical. I'm talking caves. I'm talking weird crate dragon-y shit. Like, go get, like, remember in KOTOR, go get the crate dragon pearl.
Go get the crate dragon pearl. Yeah.
Like, I'm talking tests that can be done here and do sort of like Yoda's arc at the end of Clone Wars, because as we know, it takes a lot to be able to get to the place where you can cross over. That's where you do all the stuff that people missed in this season. Like, why didn't you have a vision of Satine? It's like, well, because it wasn't a heady story. It was a boots on the ground, saber swinging story. Now do the weird one is what
the heavy shit.
Scotty, do you want a second season? Just where are you? Where's your head?
Brief. I would. Who wouldn't want more of this? Let's be real. You would be crazy to say that you wouldn't want it. But it's how it's done. Like Alden said, I mean, it's got to be done right, and it's got to be done so well that like it can be convincing enough to sit with the original trilogy and still contend and not go against anything that was stated, in previous canon. And like, I don't know, I want it selfishly, yes, of course. Who wouldn't? But it's got to be well done. Like, this show was so well done in every capacity. Like, it just down to the costuming, like Alden did a huge focus on. Like, down to that alone, if you put that much effort into it again, which I hope they would, then yeah. And obviously the actors have all been extremely vocal about the return, and I it's kind of wild to see that, I would love to return. Everyone has said that. And look, if it's done well, yes, but I don't know how I would do if it wasn't as they had lightning in a bottle with this show.
Yeah,
and like,
I think so too.
There was never a dull moment for me, and that is hard to please, like, the ultra passionate fans. That's not easy.
The UPS
and then the casuals, literally, because then you got the casuals who will still enjoy it, and the ones in between. I don't know. It did it for me.
Annie, do you want a second season?
I really don't know. I just feel like it would have to be perfect. It would, like, everything would kind of have to align again, because I think this just did such a good job at what it set out to do, that I'm perfectly satisfied with this being all that we get from the end of the series to A New Hope. So that's my answer.
So we've talked about if we want to. Let's go around real quick. Yes or no answer. Do we get a second season? Alden, second season, yes or no?
Yes, but not soon.
Okay. Scotty, yes or no?
Yes.
Annie, yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes, but
because ultimately money talks, Bill.
Wasn't this the most streamed show on Disney Plus or something like that?
It was the most streamed premiere they've ever had, I think. And
that's
the thing, is that you want them to make it because it's like, we're gonna do. You want it to be because we have an idea that's so good, but at the end of the day, these things are arts that need to be businesses, and businesses trying to be arts. And that's very, very, very hard to find a balance for, because somebody will put pressure on Kathy, who then gets pressure on her creatives to say, like, can you guys get into a room and crack OB season 2? And I hope that in that process, I hope it's Deborah again.
Same.
But in that process, I hope that they find they don't just do something because they have to. They do something because they know they have it.
And I think there is enough Star Wars stuff coming in the coming years where like they're not desperate for new content. So like if they wanted to take their time and figure out, okay, how do we do a second season? I think there's enough stuff going on where they can work on it. I also think that
Bill, I wanted to say this just because it's part of it. My fear is they announce it tomorrow.
It's all about the tapestry.
My fear is they announce it on Monday, season 2, and then everyone for years to come, just like the Rian Johnson debacle, which I still hope those movies are in production or in some capacity being worked on. You get the whole like, hey, here's a trilogy by this guy, like a guarantee that takes years to fulfill. Please, I don't want that again because that's been a nightmare.
Yeah, it's like it's like you're saying, like, oh, it happened to happen on Monday. We're still like, that's very possible. That's what happened.
It is possible.
Loki they knew, and so they dropped it at the end of the last episode.
Yeah,
Bad Batch took about wasn't that around the finale?
It was legitimately like, it was like 2 weeks or maybe 1 week.
So it's like we're still in that.
I think you let it sit. You gotta let it sit for a little bit.
D23 is in August.
I think that's
the summer is enough time to have meetings to decide. I think
if you say like, hey, this is in development, like, and it's not like, I think that can work. Like,
they're gonna do right. You is gonna walk out and say hello there again.
Stop!
Oh my god!
Stop!
I would bet cash money that it's something like that, if not exactly that.
Hello there. Again.
Or you know what? Or they'll do Liam Neeson. Took you long enough. Like it'll be something like that. That's gonna be his memeable line.
What if they do Qui-Gon a Star Wars story and they give us the inverse of it? We get Qui-Gon's journey through the Force. Like that would be.
Well, they're gonna do
that would be
in
insane.
Tales of the Jedi. Liam and Liam's son are co-voicing Qui-Gon. I don't know how that works, but they're both doing it.
Would like an edited version of Kenobi where like he talks. I was here the whole time. Where it was just like Qui-Gon's just in the background through most of it.
Oh, the people that have been photoshopping the Phantom Menace behind the scenes photos.
Exactly.
As a ghost.
Oh, amazing!
So funny. Yeah.
I don't agree, but anyway,
that's fair.
Boop. Anyway, with that.
Boop, let me know if you want me to yell at your mom on Facebook. Anyway,
if you want me to yell, if you want Alden or any of us to yell at your mom on Facebook, please let us know.
I will. I got nothing to lose.
I want to thank my wonderful, wonderful co-host for stepping in for my other wonderful, wonderful co-host, Annie. Where can the people find you?
They can find me at Annie Sheehy 98 on literally everything.
All right. Please, Annie, go yell at Boop's mom. Scotty, where can they find you on Twitter?
I'm going to go friend Annie on AIM right now. I'm gonna get my AIM, log back in because I know that's where that's from. That being Neopets, Club Penguin, Newgrounds, you name it.
Newgrounds, no.
But that being said,
find me on RuneScape
here. Yeah, RuneScape. I'm glad, I couldn't make a joke. Glad to be here, Bill. I love you. I'm glad we could do this. It's been years,
Here, can we try to together? Here, can you put your forehead like in the corner so I can give you a little kiss?
Yeah, sure. Look at that hairline.
Well, then should we leave? Should we give them some space?
I've got horrible Elvis hairline.
Weirdo.
Anyway, that being said, Annie, I love you. Alden, always love you. Bill, thank you for having me on. Seriously, you're a great friend, and I'm glad I could stay Bombad across your ass one night. That was fun.
It's the tapestry. Alden, where can the people find you, my friend?
That's when I got what Annie calls ass COVID. The worst version.
The first documented case.
First documented case of ass COVID. That's what she says. I got it from that moment. You can find me personally at that Alden Diaz, ThatAldenDiaz on Twitter and Instagram. You can find Oxford Radio, Star Wars Podcast, everywhere you get your podcasts. And I just dropped a banger Obi-Wan Kenobi thread while this show was happening. So go read that.
Wait, you dropped a thread on my show?
No.
No, I dropped it before you let me in.
Oh, okay, cool. That's fine. I'd actually be impressed if you did.
It's been in my drafts for like 2 days. I was waiting for the spoilers.
Oh, nice.
Perfect.
I do have one. I want to play something real quick, Alden, if you don't mind.
No.
Yeah,
Please.
do.
Jesus, Wagaman. What they say? Hello, it's your football. Go Tigers. Go Tigers. Who that? Stay on bed. I tell you what, shit, goddamn. West we go. Jesus, Wagaman. That shit go Cats. You know, they do what they do. I'll roam that shit. Y'all heard me? They put down a nigga, they say, hello, what's going on?
I'd like to have
play one too. I want to play one too.
Oh no.
Oh god. Oh, I think I know what it is.
Wait, what did I?
I say, Bill, what do you want to say to your fans? And then you blasted. I think you were just gone. You're like, you turned it to like Austin Powers. You're like, sexually very cool. Which, like, I don't even know what that means. I don't know who that's referring to. I don't get it. But it's just been in my phone. My favorite part of Scotty's one is when he goes, shit, goddamn. Like,
shit, goddamn. So I was talking to Scotty before the show, and we'll do this. We'll just do this live. Why not? So, like, that video of Bayou Bill coming out at IHOP was kind of where I was regaining consciousness and not being blacked out. So, like, Bayou Bill himself.
Yeah, and we would have all been at the same IHOP if Jerry and
That's
Scotty
right. We went to
knew
the
how to
wrong
drive.
IHOP.
You guys ended up at an IHOP 30 minutes in the other direction.
Oh, yeah,
literally, Annie, the IHOP was approximately 2 minutes by car from where we were. And like 25 minutes later, we get a text from Jerry. It's like, we're at the wrong one.
This would have never happened if I was there. That's just objectively true.
Alden, when I tell you, I do not remember saying that even a little bit.
I just sent it to the chat so you can see it.
A little bit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Anyway,
it's on my Facebook too. I'm gonna tag Leanne.
Oh, yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at Star Wars Bill. If you're not already, please, for the love of God, follow us on Twitter at Skywalking TL. And with that, Godspeed, Rebels.